Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast, and we are looking at NBA player props on a 14-game schedule here on Tuesday night in the NBA after a little day off. We've also got best bets up as we do each and every weekday, so definitely want to make sure to like and subscribe. Continue to follow along with us as we get into this postseason coming up here in the NBA. Also want you to head to thelines.com and use that prop finder tool that we have there on the site. Under that NBA tab, you can use that to make sure that you're getting the best odds available to you for all these books that are giving us bets this season. Nate, let's go ahead and get right into your first NBA player prop here with lots to choose from.
I heard that. Yeah, lots to choose from, and I'm going with the Toronto Raptors here to get over with the Pacers. It's 238. That's a best bet, and it's going to have to be on the shoulders of RJ Barrett. So over 23.5 points for him with Emmanuel quickly out. I don't mind tacking on the assists. I mean, his usage in terms of playmaking has been insane. Without quickly here, I mean, it should go up even more. But he's played 2 so far with the Raptors without quickly. It's been a while. I mean, he had other guys around him, so his usage rate was around 29% in those 2 games, and he still got over both props, 24 points, 6.5 assists. Also got to the line a lot, 6.5 free throws in 37 minutes. I mean, and that's the biggest weakness with this Pacers defense. I mean, their interior defense, you ask me, how's Toronto going to score? Well, they're going to drive by dudes and get right to the rim and get Miles Turner moving around, trying to guard Olynyk on the perimeter. And then they're just going to get into a fun up and down game with this Pacers squad, which is like, sure, you want to do that? We'll play that better than you. But right now, I mean, the Pacers not playing much interior D on the road, allowing the 5th highest percentage in 5 to 9 feet, like floater range, 6th highest field goal attempts inside 5 feet, and a pretty high percentage there. And then, yeah, as I mentioned, they give up the most free throw attempts on the road for the entire season. RJ's been aggressive since returning. 17 drives per game is top 10 in the NBA, shooting 55% on those and getting to the line nearly 5 times on his drives. He's also had success against the Pacers, even his last 4 with the Knicks, and then add the 2 with the Raptors here. He averages 25 a game, but the last 2 with the Raptors, he shot 50% from deep versus like horrendous shooting when he was with the Knicks. So maybe credit Coach Darko putting him in a little bit of better position to get some catch and shoot opportunities. Wish quickly was in here for the Toronto success, but I think without him, you're like, well, RJ Barrett's getting a 32% usage rate minimum, so let's just take his scoring prop.
100%. Yeah. I mean, if you do believe in an over in any way, shape, or form, then yeah, RJ Barrett's going to have to do a lot of damage in this one. And he has been. And he's been taking a lot of shots. He's been really efficient, been really, really good since he came back with those shooting splits. And yeah, I think that it just comes down to volume. I don't know if Darko's putting him in any kind of better position or not than Tibbs, who's, whatever, probably. So there's probably something to that. But also just the volume and the usage for him. And I would not mind his points prop with quickly or without quickly. Quickly's been diming up as much as anything. I know he scored a lot of points the other game, but those 2 together have been a pretty good force. I'm not worried either way. Like that is fine with or without quickly, because straight volume is just going to be through the roof for RJ in this one. And so if you think there's gonna be a lot of possessions and that the Raptors are going to hang around even within 10 to 15 points, then 100% like the RJ is going to be doing a bulk of the scoring. He's got the ball in his hands the whole time. There's really nothing that the Pacers do to try to force the ball out of the hand of the best player on the other team. Like they don't double team. They give up a ton of points in isolation. They give up a ton of points in transition, all the stuff that we're going to see from RJ barreling to the basket, scoring right around the basket where Indiana's terrible. So I'm good with all of that. I'm going to go over on what is always going to make me feel like the chalkiest of chalk, but it's Steph Curry and it's over and it's 25.5 points and it's too low against this Lakers squad. I don't care if the Dubs are going to, go all in or not in to win this game. They're definitely going to be putting forth as much effort as possible. And the Lakers are going to have to put them out of their misery. So for Steph playing this Lakers squad, man, like I did this last game, right? It was also at 25, 26 points for Steph last game that he played against his team. And I hit that over because with the ladder to 30 points, because it's just what he does, right? And it's not just like, oh, Steph gets up for big games against the Lakers, which he does, by the way. He's gone over in 9 of his last 11 versus them including the playoffs that they played last year. 9 of 11 that he's gone over, 30 points per game, 24 field goal attempts, 12 shots from deep, right? If you just look at the last 5 regular season games, the 3 that he played so far this year against them and the 2 from last season, he's up at 33.8 points per game and over 6.5 assists, by the way. on 25 field goal attempts and 13 threes that he's taking. So he's taking a ton of shots against the Lakers, and where he takes those shots is where the Lakers are the weakest, right? We're talking about the one of the weakest, if not the weakest team in limiting above the break shots and threes. They give up the most attempts. They give up the second most makes, just like 0.1 fewer than Utah. So basically the most makes, tied with the Jazz at limiting above the break shooters. And we're talking about the best above the break shooter in the history of NBA basketball, really the best 3-point shooter, as we know. And in general, like, this Lakers team has, the Achilles heel has just been threes on both sides of the floor, offense and defense. They're giving up the third most makes on the season, and the second most on the season, and from above the break, like I said, really just from everywhere as well. So wherever Steph wants to go, they did try to force him off the line a bit in the last couple games this season, and he did end up taking like 11 one game, 13 the other game. So he still had about 12 threes a game, but even when they ran him off the line in the third quarter of that last game, I believe he was already at like 27 points, and he had like 2 made threes. He was like 2 for 6 or 7. So I'm not really worried about that either, because like obviously he creates those mismatches and is good at finishing from everywhere on the floor. So just with the volume, if he's going to take 24, 25 shots, I'm going to take Steph Curry to get over 25 points. And I think the ladder is live to get him to 30.
Yeah, Mr. Conservative here, I would maybe just say, like, let's add the assists and go 31.5 for like a little better juice. I mean, the juice on just the points is crazy. Even when you go up to 26.5, it's minus 130 everywhere. And then the assists are the opposite. Like, right, it's plus 120 for him to get 6, where he actually did that 4 straight against the Lakers prior to their last meeting, and has done that pretty consistently. In general lately, since TJD was kind of the main center in there, right? I think he has a much better dump off partner when teams run him off the line. And if he's going to start to penetrate and he's going to draw some help, he's got an easier outlet for an assist down there, rather than, Kuminga getting more usage or what have you, that he's just not as involved in terms of potential assists. So maybe I want to get that involved, but yeah, I mean, Steph, it has been boom or bust. Like, it's like 17 points or 30. So like you're saying, it's not going to matter if he does go over the points prop. He's going over the assists as well, and just maybe that's a better way to get some juice there. Look, I got to take my guy Naz Reid again here. 27.5 points and rebounds. You can throw the rebounds in there for sure against the Washington Wizards, who are on the road, plus 17 here. And so the blowout factor is a concern, but I actually think the Wizards are going to cover or do something weird here, where they're at least in the game for a while, maybe a first half cover. And I mean, Naz is going to get more run, even if it's a blowout. Like, he's going to be one of the last starters to leave the floor since he's been six man of the year, perhaps, but like, he has not logged the same usage as these other guys. He's been a much more involved rebounder in his last 4 than Rudy. He's actually has a 74% defensive rebounding chance, and Rudy's 61%. So letting him take on some of that load here, he's just insane catch and shoot numbers. Like, his efficiency, 86% effective field goal on catch and shoot in those last 4. So it's like, he doesn't need high volume to get points against a team like the Washington Wizards. He's coming off a 31-point outburst against the Lakers, where I'm like, damn, I only had like a few starts left in my Roto fantasy league, and I was like, I'm going to hold him off against the Lakers and then play him against the Wiz. And I'm just like, because I'm just stunned that he scored that efficiently against a good defense, because he had some duds. Here's the thing, like 11 since Cat went down. He's about 19 points, 8 rebounds per game. But that's with the factoring in the duds against Denver, which was a close win, and then losses to the Bulls and Suns. If you take his stats in those 5 other wins, 24 points, 9 rebounds on 60-60 splits. And that includes like going 30 points and rebounds against Toronto in just 26 minutes, going 31 in just 30 minutes against Detroit. So that's what happens in blowouts, right? Is the efficiency is enough, and he gets just enough time to potentially get there. And I mean, yeah, the Wizards, why you add the rebounds is post All-Star break, they allow the most rebounds per game. They allow 40 defensive rebounds per game on the road, which is 4 more than even the Charlotte Hornets, even the next team that they play, because they play faster and they miss more shots. And then they allow great shooting all over the floor, 126 points a game on the road. So give me Naz here to keep doing what he's doing down the stretch.
Yep. I kind of was looking at how to maybe play that Wizards and Minnesota game. Wizards could be live to win that thing. I agree with you that it's going to be a little bit wonky and weird, especially in that one. And I'd be careful with that. But that does still allow you to take props for the Timberwolves players with the assumption that this is going to be closer than you might think. And yeah, I mean, it was either Nas or Rudy, to be honest. And it does seem like on offense, especially, Nas is the guy. Obviously, he's got a higher points prop, pretty notably higher than Rudy as well. And the rebounds are a little bit lower. So I think, putting them both together, yeah, for him to get about 30 points in rebounds feels like a pretty good consistent bet moving forward. Hopefully the rebounds come along with him as well. But let me close it out here with an under for OG, for the OG, Anunoby on the Knicks. And I think points are a good bet here. PRA is also what I'm putting out. I mean, I'm really starting to talk myself into 14.5 points as the better play, and you get a little bit better juice but either way, like if he doesn't get the points, I don't think the rebounds and assists are going to continue to be there for him. That's not what he's been called upon to do, right? I mean, he's going to be guarding DeMar in this game, and that's what he's going to be called upon to do more than anything. DeMar brings him further away from the basket on defense, which is why I like the under on the rebounds. And really the rebounds and assists, just to like tackle those, he's at about 7.5 rebound chances with the Knicks since he came over here. I say here like I'm in New York with them, but you know what I mean. Came over here to us, and he's at 4.5 boards in that time frame. And it's not like he's been a bad rebounder. It's just like, once again, that's not what they're really asking him to do, especially on defense. Those defensive rebounds aren't quite there for him when he's, last game focused on guarding Giannis. It was just chef's kiss at how good he was at guarding Giannis last game. It was like a defensive clinic. And I expect a little bit more of that for DeMar. I would love to take DeMar overs, to be honest. He loves playing against the Knicks. The Knicks are bad against the mid-range. That's what DeMar wants to do. But I'm not taking an over for anybody that's being guarded by OG Anunoby right now. So as far as the assists go, even less of what he's expected to do, right? 2.5 potential assists per game for this squad since he came to the Knickerbockers, and only about 1.5 assists that he's putting up in that time frame, because he either gets it on the catch and shoot in the 3-point in the corner, or he gets it, or he forgoes that shot and drives into the lane, and is really not looking for anybody at that point. He's just trying to out athletic everybody and get to the rim. So the points are really, the shots have not been there for him. That's a huge part of it as well. I think the rebounds and assists are pretty safe. The 4.5 boards is a fair number. The assists at like 2.5, probably a little bit of an underplay there for just the assists as well, to be honest. But then you just put it all together because the points are at 14.5. That's actually dropped from 15.5. But when it opened, he's at about 8.8 points in his last 5 games, which includes like the 3 that he played before he went out with injury. The teams that he's gotten those points against are pretty bad for the most part. I believe Denver, he actually played pretty well. But for the most part, like the 34 minutes, he's at 10 shots per game. I'm not taking OG Anunoby to get 15 points even on 10 shots, to be honest with you. I mean, he needs to make a couple of threes here. And as bad as that defense has been for the Bulls against the 3, it's been a little bit better in the corner than it has above the break, where they do the majority of their gambling, like I was saying, when they try to get those steals and then give up some open shots. It's definitely above the break stuff a little bit more. Point guards are scoring points against them. I do think Jalen Brunson is just going to go clean off again. I think 35.5 points and assists for him to go over is another good look. Even if you think this game has a 208 total when it ends or whatever, like, Brunson's going to be taking 25 shots. It's just what happens. So don't worry about it. We know where the volume is going to be coming from on offense for Brunson if you want to take that. But I do think it correlates nicely with an under for OG, who, the only way this bet fails, in my opinion, is he hits like 3 threes out the gate, and we're in trouble that way, because the spot up stuff is available against the Bulls. Like we keep saying, shooting guards, wings, they are going to be open for that catch and shoot stuff against the Bulls once they gamble and maybe miss on those steals. But I'm still going to assume that Dante DiVincenzo is going to be the dude standing above the break, who's going to get a bunch more of those with Josh Hart in and not out like he was after first 10 minutes of last game against this Bulls squad. There's just going to be a lot less to go around for OG. And the only dude I would feel safe taking it over with on the Knicks tonight, to be honest, is Jalen Brunson. Maybe you could mix in some Dante DiVincenzo as the primary catch and shoot guy, but it's a clean under on the points and rebounds and assists for OG for me.
Yeah, I was definitely looking at unders for this game and thinking about who's OG gonna hold under, like on the other side. I'm not comfortable fading DeRozan just because he is such a creative mid-range scorer. But yeah, I mean, a way to kind of game that is to say like, well, OG's just going to focus on defense. Whatever he's doing, his offense, his usage rate is going to be extremely low. With DiVincenzo as hot as he is. And I mean, I wonder what you think about the under for Kobe White here, which I almost put in there. 17.5 points, right? I mean, he hurt his ankle against the Knicks, only scores 11 in 38 minutes next time out. Had a pretty poor record against the Knicks otherwise, except for like one outburst where they were not at all whole. So, yeah, I think maybe that's another look that we can throw in as a lean.
Yep, and I think he might still be at 2.5 threes. He's been taking 4 threes per game. So you want Kobe White to hit 75% of his threes that he's taken 4 to 5 of them as of late as well. He's not even getting the volume up from deep that he was at one point where he was at about 7 to 8 threes a game. And then, you know, the over 2.5 3-point prop for Kobe White was like a really good 50-50 bet if you wanted to find it in a good spot for him. But now it's like, yeah, not at all. And not against this defense, which is like, you could throw Josh Hart on him at this point if you want. You can really, there's so many options for good defenders to guard Kobe White on this Knicks squad. Man, if Julius Randle was around, I would feel so much better about their chances in the playoffs, but here we are. So that is all the time that we have for you in play up props, as we are getting real close to these playoffs. So continue to follow along, subscribe to that page. We're bringing you these player props and best bets each and every weekday moving forward. So until we see you next, happy betting.